Hello, hello, check, check. Yeah. Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel Codesaki. So today's live session will be about methods and access modifiers. In the last one, we have already learnt about the looping statements.
भैया
हाँ बोलो।
पब्लिश नहीं किए थे क्या उधर से?
हम क्यों करेंगे?
अरे भर रहा
फिर से बंद करो, काटो काटो काटो, नहीं चाहिए ऐसा। हमको पता है तुम आधा आधा देखेगा तुम। पब्लिक मैं यहाँ से क्यों करूँगा? कर दिया। हेलो चेक. Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel Codesaki. I hope I am audible. Just confirm it. Okay. So today's live session on Java will be learning methods and access modifiers. Okay. So I'll be giving you a brief introduction to access modifiers. At the same time, we will be learning about methods. Okay. Guys, if anyone is from C or C++ background, C or C++ background, then there you will be calling them as functions. Okay, but in case of Java and sometimes in C++ also, because it is an object oriented language, there we call the functions as methods, because I will tell you one very simple thing that will make you understand this. They actually describe the behavior of any object. Okay, that's why they are called methods. Okay, in case of object oriented languages, they are called methods. Fine. So normally let's start with calling them functions only, then we will go on to that. Okay, so what do you actually mean by functions? What is the basic idea behind functions? Say suppose I want to find the sum of two numbers. Okay, sum of two numbers. Then my normal approach will be to do something like this. Just try to understand this. I am taking int a is equal to 10, int b is equal to 20, and then I will say int sum is equal to a plus b, and then I will say s out, system.out.println our sum, whatever the value it is. Okay, so here actually this can be done multiple number of times. Now if I want to change the values, see what I am going to do. I will have to change 10 to say suppose 30 and this 20 to 40. I'll get the sum. I can do it. But what if I have something, some idea which can actually give me the sum of these two numbers? Say suppose I am giving you a simple example. In the computer technology, we say something like this. We give some input that is actually processed, and then we get some output, right? This idea we have. Similarly, say suppose we have something, a block or a what can we say? We can say a code. Just think of it in a simple term, a code where we are passing two numbers a and b as our input, and in turn this block or this code actually returns us the sum of those two numbers. Correct? That can be done. Then in that case what happens? We can pass multiple number of times this a and b values. This we just have to change the a and b value. Correct? That can be done. So let's try to talk about this in terms of programming. Okay, so just a moment. What I'll do is I will write a simple code so that you can understand what I'm trying to say. Here let's right click, create a new package, and say methods. Okay, here right click, I'll create a Java class called sum of numbers. Fine, this is my class. I hope it is visible. Okay, so here I am just taking my main function. Fine, so what I'll do, I'll take int a is equal to 10, int b is equal to 20, int sum is equal to a plus b. Then I can say s out. The sum is concatenation of the sum. Sum. Okay, now if I simply run this, okay, I think I have written the spelling wrong. Let's refactor it to sum. Okay, now it is correct. See, the sum is 30. So this is a basic idea that we already know. Now what I'm saying is, I want to create a block of code that will actually do this thing for me again and again. If I am changing the numbers, it doesn't matter. Now here you see, I just have to change this like this, 30 and say 70. I'll get the answer. But this is like not efficient. Correct? It is not at all efficient. So here what is happening is I am continuously keeping on changing these values again and again, and I am just printing it. But I cannot store it somewhere, right? So what I can do is I can create a function. See, this is our main function, our main method. Okay, now I can take a method called void. See, I'm taking the return type as void because I don't want to return anything for the time being. Okay, we'll talk about return types later. Right now I'm keeping it void and saying sum and give a bracket, and here see, as I discussed here in this, okay, here I discussed that I will be passing a and b into this block of code. That will be our method, and after that we will be actually getting the sum. Correct? So what I can do is I can say I'll take the inputs, integer numbers, right? Int a comma int b. Fine, and here I will say int sum, or let me say s, because otherwise it can clash with the name of the function or the method, is equal to, I will say a plus b. Okay, or rather than doing this, you can directly say, if it is a void function or void method, I can just say s out. The sum is plus, I already have those two inputs a and b, so I'll say a plus b. Okay, and to be on the safer side, let's give a bracket here so that we don't encounter any other problems here, so that the input a and b is actually added together and then it is returned along with this. Okay, so now rather than simply doing this again and again, let's see how to do it. Now see the benefit. I have a method called sum where I am passing a and b as two inputs from the main function. I'll do that now. Okay, and based on that I can easily calculate the sum. See this, say I'm saying int a is equal to 10, int b is equal to 20, and then I can say call the sum function. Now here is a catch, guys. See here, if I just say sum, I am not getting any suggestion. Okay, I will tell you about a very important concept here. Our main function is static, and this function is not static. Okay, our main method here is not able to call this method directly because it is a non-static method. This you have to remember. Okay, there are lots of very special interview questions on this that you might not know, so let's discuss that thing also here itself so that we can get an idea of this. Okay, I will talk about the question now. Okay, they can ask you something like this. and how to call main function. Okay. Why is the main method static in Java? How to call non-static methods from the main function or the main method, you can say. Guys, both are actually the same thing. I might be saying function or method multiple number of times. So ultimately you have to remember one thing. Both are actually the same entity. These two represent the same entity. There is nothing different about them. But because we are into an object oriented language, so it's better to say method in this case. Okay, that you have to remember. Yeah, I think, okay, I guess someone is saying आवाज नहीं आ रही है. Okay, now I guess it is clear, right? Guys, please anyone can confirm this if the sound is okay now, it's audible, so that I can continue. Fine. Okay, I got the confirmation. My sound is audible to everyone now. Fine then. Okay, so as the question goes, why is the main method static in Java and how to call non-static methods from the main method or main function? Okay, let's go back here and see. See guys, Java is an object-oriented language, so directly accessing, see here what it says. If I give a bracket like this, you see there is a warning or an error. Non-static method sum cannot be referenced from a static construct because our main method is static and this function is not static. That means there are two ways of accessing it. The first way is to do this. See, we will not be talking about object oriented programming right now, but I will just give you a syntax. Guys, in order to get inside this method which is inside this particular class, I need to create an object. Guys, when you are learning about object-oriented programming, guys, when you are learning about object-oriented deeply about it, for the time being, just remember one thing deeply about it. For the time being, just remember one thing deeply about it. For the time being, just remember one thing deeply about it. For the time being, just remember one thing deeply about it. For the time being, just remember one thing deeply about it. For the time being, just remember one thing deeply about it. For the time being, just remember one thing deeply about it. For the time being, just remember one thing deeply about it. For the time being, just set you ask me about that. Don't you just set you ask me about that. Don't you just set you ask me about that. Don't you just set you ask me about that. Don't you just set you ask me about that. Don't you just set you ask me about that. Don't you just set you ask me about that. Don't you just set you ask me about that. Don't you just set you ask me about that. Don't you just set you ask me about that. Don't you just set you ask me about that. Either use these kind of variables again and again, and now I can keep changing this. I can make it 100, I can make it 200, it doesn't matter. Now I will get 300 as the answer. Okay, so I hope you understood this. So a method or function is actually a block of code which is executed whenever it is called, and it will give you a particular result. That it has been designed for. Okay, whatever this function is intended to do, it will do it only if this function is called. So here in this line, if you see here, obj.sum, we are actually calling this function, or you can hear this word also sometimes, invoked. This function sum has been invoked when we are making this call. Okay, that's why it is executing and then it is giving you the result, that is actually the sum of a and b. Here I am printing this, that's all clear. So the excuse me, the return type of a function can be anything. It can be void and it can be all the other data types that we know. Okay, so let's talk about that as well. After that, we'll come to this question also. Okay, now comes one very important thing. So I hope you have understood this. Yeah, someone says something is wrong with mic, your voice is repeating. आवाज इको हो रहा है क्या? Okay, so guys, I'm sorry for the disturbance that has been caused. I hope it is okay, all okay now. Fine. So the question that we have here. So I hope guys, whatever I have told you till now is understood. So what I said is, a function is actually a block of code, or a method is actually a block of code which when called upon will give you a certain result. Okay, in this case the result is the sum of the two numbers. Fine. So let's try to design the anatomy, or let's do one thing. As I said, let's discuss about this also. So here I said I created an object, correct? And this object is also called a reference. This object is also called a key. This object is also called an instance, with the help of which you can access the members of a class. But there is a catch. Whenever you create objects obj1, obj2, obj3, you are actually increasing what memory? Objects are stored in the heap memory in our computer. Okay, so more objects keep on increasing the heap of our system. So if you are creating unnecessary objects which you don't even need, then okay, yeah, I think Hola and K says now it's working. Fine, thank you for the update. So as I said, objects are actually stored in the heap memory of our computer. So in that case, what happens is, the more objects, the more is the heap memory. Objects increase, the heap memory increases. Okay, so that is not a good thing. So unnecessary objects should not be created. So that's why comes the question, why is the main method static in Java? If the main method is not static, it is the entry point, right? This is our entry point of our code, correct? So if this method is not static, then we need to create an object to access our main method also. That is not good. So the main method is kept static so that the JVM, the Java virtual machine, can directly have access to the main method, because it is the entry point and it will actually kickstart our application, the Java application. Okay, that's why the main method is static. Then comes the question, how to call non-static methods from the main function, because the main function is static, correct? How do you call a non-static function? How do you do it? So the first way to do it is something like this. I have a function void sum that we just now created, and just now we created this function where we had int a comma int b, correct? Let me write it properly, so that, because I have to write some other info also. Okay, so I had just created a function int a comma int b, and then in this function I have written s out a plus b, the sum. Okay, and after that I had the main function. The main function is static, public static void main, and here, from here I tried to call this function, so I needed an object, correct? What was the syntax? The syntax was class name object is equal to new class name, and then I said object dot, I used to call the sum function, correct, by passing parameters a comma b, whatever it is. You can directly pass values here, that also can be done. Okay, so what does it mean? As I said, this method is non-static, so it cannot be called from this static function directly. So we had to create an object. That is the first way. Okay, the first way to do it is by creating an object, or else the second way is to do something like this. Rather than writing void, just make this function as static. Then you don't require any object here. I am just removing all this and removing all this. See, there are no errors. You can see. So if you don't think an object is necessary, then just make the function static so that it does not require any object to be called upon. Okay, you can directly call this function. Fine, and now you can see easily I can pass all this, and if I run this now, we will get the same output. 300 will be the output. Make sense? So question as it was, why is the main method static? The main method in Java is static because otherwise the JVM cannot call it directly. It will need an object to access this, which is not good, because main method is the entry point of our Java code. So we need to access this directly without having to create any unnecessary memory and objects. Okay, and how do you access a function which is not static? If it is not static, you have to mandatorily create an object, as I showed you earlier. Otherwise, you can make the function or the method static so that it can be easily accessed by just calling the function name. Okay, got it? So this is the idea about it. I hope you have understood this. Guys, lots of the time this question is asked in the interview, and I hope you have understood it. If you have any doubts, the comment section is all yours. You can just throw up any question that you want. Fine. So now, rather than taking variables like this, I can also do this. I can say 10 comma 20, or I can also call the sum function by passing 20 comma 30. I can call the same function by passing 100 comma 200. Okay, see this? That's the benefit of having a function or a method. It can be called upon multiple number of times. Now I don't have to bother about changing the values multiple times in the same function. Earlier what I was doing, I was changing the value in the variables itself. Here I don't need that. See, what I'm doing is, I'm just calling the function repeatedly and I'm getting multiple types of results. That's the benefit. So it's like a processor which is giving me some output based on the inputs that I'm giving. See, now actually we are increasing the efficiency of our code as well, and also we are actually saving a lot of time. Got it? So now I hope you have understood what a function actually is and what it does. There can be any kind of function, guys. It can actually print something to the console also. Say suppose I want a function called static void. I'm writing static because right now we don't know about object oriented programming, so I will not be writing anything like that. I have just given you an intro like class name object equal to new class name. We'll be focusing more on them when we are actually learning them. For the timing, just remember that we use static so that we can access all the methods from inside the main function. Okay, so I'm saying print something and I am taking nothing from the user, or we can do one thing also, rather than printing anything, print or greet someone. Let me say greet someone, greet someone. Okay, I am taking a string, say name, and I'll say s out hello plus name. Okay, so whatever name comes here, after that I will say s out welcome to Codesarkit, and obviously till now I haven't said that. Now I will say that please subscribe guys. This you have to do. I have seen lots of subscribers going off, and I have seen lots of people just coming, viewing, and going off. This is not good. This does not motivate us. So make sure you guys subscribe and share our videos with as many people as you can, because that is the only mode of motivation that we have, and that really makes us happy. People coming to us and learning new things and suggesting new videos also. Guys, the whole comment section is yours. You can ask us anything you want. Feel free to ask, and at the same time our DSA classes have started already. Offline classes, online classes have already started. You can just ping to us in the official number that we have. This number I have already told you many times. If you have any queries, you can just WhatsApp us on this number. This is the number 8150 Any doubts regarding anything, you can ask us, and all our DSA classes have started guys, offline and online both. So please enroll to them if you like our content. We'll be very happy to teach you, and at the same time please subscribe to our channel. That is also very important. Okay. Now as we were discussing about this, let's do this. See, I have written something here. I said static void greet someone, string name, and here I am writing hello name, welcome to Codesarkit. Please subscribe guys. Or rather than writing guys, please subscribe to our channel, I can write. Okay, and here let me just call the function greet someone and pass say any name, say Milan, and run this. See guys, hello Milan, welcome to Codesarkit. Please subscribe to our channel. So this is how it works. You can do anything with a function, anything that is relevant you want to do. Okay, so by definition, let me write down the definition properly now. Method it is a block of code which is used to perform a specific task. Okay, and it only executes whenever it is called upon. called upon, or we can say invoked. Fine. So it is a block of code which is used to perform a specific task. It only executes whenever it is called upon or it is invoked. Okay. So these are the things you have to remember. Fine. So I hope now you have got an idea. Now comes the syntax as we had written. Let's talk about the syntax now. It can be in a very different way. There are lots of ways of writing this. So rather than writing it here, let me just give you a simple idea first of all. I am saying void, which is actually our return type. Yeah, void. I'll say method name bracket. Okay, here you will pass arguments. It can be n number of arguments. The arguments are actually the inputs that we had there. Okay, you saw the inputs there, a comma b, and in one more case you saw string. String name was the input. In this case these were integers. Correct. So it can be anything, guys. You can take anything, or you can not have anything also. It can be blank also. Okay. So void method name, the name of the method, then the arguments followed by this curly bracket, and then you will have the statements. Okay. Now I did not talk about the access modifiers here. So let's do it now. So there can be one more syntax that we might have. So based on that, let me just do one thing. See, we already have public here. So you can write public. Okay, this is the access modifier or the access specifier that we have, correct? Or you can write private. It depends on this. Okay, guys. Now, what are actually these private, public, and there is one more that is protected. See, what are actually these? So you have to understand this very well so that you can use them in your code. These access modifiers are used to denote or define the access, how much of access is given to a particular function or a variable. This is very important to understand. Okay, so there are 4 access modifiers in Java and there are 3 access modifiers in C++. Okay, so what are actually those? For that, let me just do one thing. Let me create a note. Okay, right click, new file. I will say notes. Okay, and here let me first give you the syntax of the functions or the methods that we have. We can write return type, method name. Fine, and I'm writing it here so that you can also refer it, and it can be used, say it can be blank. Okay, it can be like this, return type method name like this blank, or this can be like this as well. I'll copy this, paste this here, return type method name arguments like this, and then let me paste this here. It can be arguments, and here you can have the static keyword, static return type, and then there can be one more way where you can write this. The other one can be something like this. Okay, static, and you can have the access modifier. Okay, so Method can be written in all these types of ways. Okay, return type, method name, return type, the method name with arguments. It can be the static keyword, then the return type, then the method name. So static void, we wrote some just now, and the arguments. The arguments can be anything, A, B, C. It can be integer, character, boolean, whatever you want. Okay, and then access modifier. The public, the private, or the protected access modifier. If you don't write anything, it is called the default access modifier, guys. You have to remember this. Okay, then the static keyword, then the return type, then the name of the method, and then followed by the arguments. So these are all the types in which you can write the name of a method in Java. Okay, in case of Java it will be called the method. In case of C or C++, it will be called a function. You can call it a method because C++ also is an object oriented language. So these are all the ways you can write that. Now let me give you a brief idea of all the access modifiers. Okay, so I will give you a simple table which will actually design all the access of all the modifiers. So now you understood. And guys, one more thing that I want to tell you here is very important. So let me just give you the idea here. Just here, when we write the name of the method followed by this input that we are taking here, they are called arguments. Okay, and when we call the function, say the function was add or sum, by passing some values, say 10, 20, these are not called arguments, these are called parameters. Okay, so by definition, let me write down the definition also. Arguments, the variables defined during method creation. Okay, and parameters, the actual values that are passed as inputs to the methods are called parameters. Fine. So arguments are actually the variables defined during the method creation, and parameters are the actual values. Suppose 10 and 20 we are passing. So here we can simply write like this. Say I have a function void sum. Here I have int a comma int b, and then I have this braces where I am just printing the sum, whatever it is, print the sum. Don't worry about the syntax, guys, just worry about the concept. Okay, this function here, when I am calling the function sum by passing say 10, 20, so what does it mean? This means that this int a and int b are actually my arguments, and this 10 and 20 are my parameters. So I hope this diagram or this whatever I have drawn gives you the idea of this, right? So arguments are the variables defined during method creation. So these are the variables. This is the method name sum. These are the variables that we define during the method creation, and this is the function call. This is the function call, right? In this call we are writing two values. So these values are actually called the parameters. Make sense? So this is how it works. Fine. And the last thing that I want to tell you today is about access modifiers. Guys, we will be having a very good content on them later, but for the time being I just want to tell you about this. Okay, so please remember this. What I am saying is, access modifiers actually decide the access of a particular data member inside a class. It can be a variable, it can be a function, or it can be a method, it can be anything. So let's see how we can actually do this. So I'll just give you a brief idea of the access modifier table. Okay, I'll write it down. The access modifier, sometimes it is called specifier also, table. This is a very important table. Guys, it is my challenge. If you can remember this table, most of the concepts in Java will be very easy for you. Okay, and I'll give you an idea of this in C++ also. In C++, Java, both. Let me write it down because some people might be coming here from C++ also. So what I will do is I'll just draw this table. Okay, so for that, let me just do one thing. Name, then this is inside class, this will be outside class, this is inside package, and this is outside package. Fine. So guys, if you remember this table, it will be very easy for you to understand this. Fine. So let's write down the names. So in case of C++, we have only 3, and for Java we have one extra, which is not actually visible, but if you are actually inside a package, you should know this. Okay, so let me write down the names. Public, private, protected, and in Java you will have one more, which is default. It is not written, but if you don't write it, it is called the default access modifier. Okay, and in that case, so I have already written this. Let me draw the lines so that it becomes easy for you to understand also. Fine. So public, it's just like a library or a social gathering place where everyone can go. So inside the class also it is accessible. Yes. Outside the class also accessible. Inside package also accessible. Outside package also accessible. Private. Let's take a different color now. Okay. So inside the class only it is accessible. So other than that, it is not accessible anywhere else. Okay, outside the class it is not accessible, inside the package not accessible, outside package not accessible. So it is very simple. If something or some variable or some function or method is private, it is only accessible inside the class. Okay, fine. So this you have to remember. That is how you provide access to people or to other classes. Okay, when you are building a real-time application, this will be very handy, guys. So please make sure you remember this. And this is very frequently asked in the placement drives also. Be it TCS, Accenture, Capgemini, Wipro, it can be any company. They can ask you this question. You might think that is not important, but actually when you are building an application, trust me on this, you will be needing this every day of your life if you are becoming a Java developer. Okay, and then protected. The protected members are actually accessible inside the class. Yes, the protected members are accessible outside the class. What do you say? Yes, guys, this I have been asking in lots of interviews and at the same time in lots of colleges. Many people forget to or don't really answer this in the proper way. Okay, inside the package also it is yes. What about outside the package? can we access a protected member, be it a variable, be it a method outside the package? The answer is yes. It is accessible outside only if we have this feature, inheritance. Okay, when there is a parent-child relationship between two classes, we can even access the protected members outside the package. Guys, I'm talking about package. What is the package? Package is nothing but a folder. We have already discussed about this. All the similar classes and interfaces in Java are stored inside a folder, and that folder is called a package. Suppose you are working on the login module, all the files related to them will be stored on the login folder or something like that. That is called a package. It is a term used in case of Java. Normally in our system it is called a folder only. Okay, and last comes the default. In the default one, it is accessible inside the class. Guys, make sure you remember default is not written. If you don't write anything, it is default. Okay, but in case of C++, if you don't write anything, it is private. This is a very important thing to understand. I am not going deep into that, but still remember, if you don't write public, private or protected, it is private by default in case of classes. In case of structure, it is public if you don't write anything. This can be very frequently asked in the interviews. Okay, guys, make sure you remember this. Okay, in case of C++, when you don't write anything, it is given the private access modifier for classes. In case of structures, it is given the public access modifier if you don't write anything. Okay, so please remember this. In case of Java, if you don't write anything, it is given the default access modifier. And yes, the default access modifier is accessible inside the class, outside the class, inside the package, because in the MNC standards, in case of IT industry, the default is also known as P square. That means package private, only inside the package. 1 second. Okay, so obviously you can understand that the default is accessible, yes, inside the class, yes, outside the class, yes, inside the package, but not outside the package. So let me take a different color and first erase this and then write no here. It is not accessible. Okay, got it? So this is a brief table about the access modifiers that you have to remember. Okay, I hope you have understood. Guys, too much of information in one video is not good. So what I will do is I will wind up for today. Thank you for watching. If you have any doubts, if you have anything related to this, please comment it in the comment section, and at the same time, if you really like the video, please hit the video like, and at the same time hit the bell icon so that you get notified about the latest updates. Okay, and with this I will wind up today's live session. We'll meet again on Saturday next week. And in the meantime, if I find any time, I will definitely come live with some other concepts also. I hope you like the video, and please guys, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. That is very important. It is the only means of motivation that you get from you. Okay, so thank you for watching again. Till the next time, so this is Saurabh signing off. Bye bye.